Okay, so we're always talking about overcoming fears and such. So I'm about to overcome one of my fears, and that is driving on a major highway by myself. I'm usually nervous about driving when I have someone with me, but at least there's someone with me to coach me along. But this time it's all up to me to read all the signs, to see where I'm going, to be cautious. So I am you can see the camera shaking. I am shaking a smidge, but I'm going to put our last video post into practice. I've got some music playing in the background. I've got my prayer going on in my spirit. Jason just prayed for me before I left, and that's how I'm going to get from here all the way to Mississauga. And I know that's not very far, but for me, it's a big deal. So once I'm done, I will check in, okay? So this is what we got to do. Just face your fears straight on and see how it goes. I'm believing God for safe travels and that this is going to be a great time meeting a friend I haven't seen in a really, really, really long time. So we'll see you soon in Mississauga. Okay, so you just saw what it was like just before the drive, and I wanted to share the in-between drive. But there was a few things that I had noticed, observed, and learned along the way, so I want to share them with you. The very first thing that I learned was that you can have a pile of tools in your toolbox of how to overcome things in life, but really the foundational thing is God is what is getting you through. I realized that the music I had playing in the background was Michael Bublé's Christmas album, and I realized that wasn't really faith building for me, so I ended up turning it off, and I didn't want to access the music that was in my phone because I didn't want it to interfere with my GPS, because I was taking no chances. That was like my lifeline there. I realized that the only tool that I had was prayer, and it worked. I prayed 90% of the time there and back, talking to him about the scriptures that he's spoken to me, and my statements of faith that we had developed. And so prayer, number one, that is the main tool, your relationship with God. The second thing that I realized that I was really surprised at were the physical changes that were happening. I've faced many fears in my life, but never had the physical changes take place. There's always nerves or like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. But this was like legit. There was shaking happening. Like my legs and my arms were quivering. My heart would flutter every once in a while. I was sweating, dry mouth, like nuts, just because of a drive. And now I realize how silly that was. I was really surprised at that. And I've had people tell me that these are some of the things that they've experienced, but I've never experienced it. So now I did. And if you're out there and you face a fear and that's happening, don't worry. It's natural. You're overcoming. Yay! Third thing that I was really surprised at was my thoughts. What? There were a lot of lies that were coming at me during that time, and not even about driving, which was shocking. It was a lot of just what are people going to think, or all that nonsense. Because I made a commitment that I was going to share my feelings, the process, everything of overcoming this fear. It was like this sense of what an embarrassment I was. Of that I'm this old, as I didn't say how old I was. I'm a pastor, I'm writing this blog about being fearless or having the courage to become fearless. And yet I was struggling with a fear. So it was just this overwhelming sense of embarrassment, and it was nonsense. And so I just kept, fighting those lies off with the scriptures and my statements of faith and with prayer. And they subsided, which was awesome. And you know what? I'm not embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed. This is who I am, and I'm overcoming just like you. The fourth thing that I came to realize was after the drive. So here's the quick little video of what I looked like. Really take a close look. Whew. I made it. I shook the whole way. Pretty much just prayed and talked to God the whole time. I'm still pretty shaky, but I did it. And now I get to enjoy a date with a long lost friend who I haven't seen in, maybe 15 years. So I'm really excited to have a fun night in Toronto. See ya. Total stress. Could you see that? It was like, whew, I finally made it. It was nuts. My husband wanted me to text him as soon as we got there, so I did. And his very first words back to me was, I'm so proud of you. And it was in that moment that I realized that even though this fear was only I could overcome it, only I could face it, because it was something that was mine, like it was my fear. But even though it was my battle to fight, I knew that I wasn't alone. I was surrounded by people that loved me, that were encouraging me, that were praying for me and cheering me on. And so I wanted to encourage you with that even when you feel like you're totally alone, you're not. And number one, God's with you. And number two, I'm certain that you're surrounded by people that want to cheer you on and help you overcome. Now, if you can say, honestly, I don't even have one person that I can go to, let me be your cheerleader. I'll do it. Just contact me, comment below, contact me through the form that's available on our page, and I would be more than happy to pray with you, to send you scripture, and who knows, maybe you'll let me come along for the journey as you walk through overcoming your fear. Those were 4 things that I observed, came to realize, or found really crazy about overcoming this fear. So I hope you had a laugh at my expense, or maybe were encouraged through me and my story. So yeah, there'll be more of these to come, and let's have the courage to become fearless together. See you soon.